What's going on, everybody? This is Crash with GBR, and today I'm going to be giving you the review for MXGP 2. This is from the console version, the Xbox One version. Notice online has been a severe lack of reviews for this game, particularly for the console version. This game is available for the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. It is developed by Milestone, who are also known for other two-wheeled racing titles such as Ride and the yearly released MotoGP series, which recently changed its title to Valentino Rossi the game. So let's get into the review for MXGP 2. First up is content. So MXGP 2 does boast a fair amount of content for the $40 or $50 price tag, depending on when and where you purchase the game. It brands itself as the official motocross video game, aiming for an ultra-realistic experience. You'll be racing on 18 official tracks from the 2015 FIM Motocross World Championship, and you'll have the chance to play as anybody from the complete roster of the 2015 season. And if you wanted to, you can create your own personal team where you can customize your bike and rider. There are also 4 made-up indoor circuits, where essentially supercross tracks where you can race on outside of the career mode. Beyond career mode, there is also another mode called Moxen, which is the Motocross of Nations, where you'll choose a nation, you'll ride with all its representatives in turn as you take on events. And then there's another mode with 19 real events where you will have the opportunity to either repeat the event or change the event. So say there was an event where a rider came in first place, came from behind, you'd have to repeat that. Or if there was another event where there was a rider that finished second, you could change the event by coming in first. It's a nice addition to the game as it gives it that added sense of realism, as you'll take a role of one of the riders in the 2015 season and take part in one of these events. And these events can last anywhere from 1 lap, half a race, to a whole race. There is one test track in this game to mess around on, and the test track does have a national track as well as a stadium series track. So you could take any of your customized bikes, do lap times on these, and compare lap times to figure out which bike is best for you. But career mode is where you'll spend most of your time, and you'll start off in the MX2 series, race along the 18 tracks, try to develop relationships with sponsors. You can change your sponsors, you can change your team throughout the season, and then eventually you make your way up to the MXGP series where you race again on the tracks. The least amount of races that you could do on the tracks are 2. You could do qualifying and then the 2 races. You do a full weekend, and you have the option to change this before the season starts. If you do choose to race for an official team during a career, you are limited to the bikes you can use and the gear that you can wear. I found that if you keep your customized rider and team, you are able to switch to any of the bikes that you own and any of the gear that you want to wear throughout the season. So keep that in mind while you're doing this, otherwise you're going to get locked into racing for Team Suzuki or Team Yamaha throughout your career. Which brings us to the in-depth customization that MXGP2 has. First up is your rider, and you can customize your helmet, goggles, suit, boots, and neck brace. Within each category there are a ton of options. So for instance, if you wanted your helmet, click on the helmet category, and then it would come up with a whole list of manufacturers that you could choose from. Then from there would be different styles of helmets for that manufacturer and different colors. If at any point during your career you were tired of your gear, in between races you can go back into the customization and change everything that you have, and it saves to a quick slot. The game allows you 2 quick slot options, where in between races, if you wanted to just swap in and out, you can do that. Unlike rider customization, bike customization will affect gameplay. You can put graphic kits on your bike, but then you can go all the way down to exhaust and rims, suspension and rotors, and all these will affect how your bike handles or accelerates or its top end. And what you'll find is that you're going to be experimenting with each type of bike from each manufacturer to find out which bike suits your needs. And this is where the test track comes into play. Every bike in this game performs differently, and what you're going to find is that the Hondas may corner better while the Kawasaki's may have a higher top end. So racing on the test track will tell you this and will give you hard stats to go by, and then help you make your decision throughout your career and which bike to use on which track. Outside of all the other modes, there is essentially a quick play mode where you can create your own custom championship or just do a single Grand Prix or a time attack mode, and all these modes are available online through Xbox Live. This brings us to the next review category of quality, first of which will be graphics. Graphically, MXGP2 has a lot going on for it. There are 22 riders on each track, and all of them are rendered in high resolution, along with all the bikes, which are also rendered in high resolution. There's a feature in this game where you can pause the game at any moment, and then you can take screenshots, and within this mode you can pan, tilt, and zoom. You can get right up close to the rider, and you can see just how good looking this game really is. Along with the riders and the bikes, the tracks themselves are very well done. They are filled with a ton of objects. This could be fans on the side, billboards, advertising, tractors, cars, trees, anything that you could see looks really well done, and it just adds that sense of realism that this game was going for. My only gripe graphically with this game, and this is going to sound kind of odd, are the track textures themselves. So most of the tracks look really well done, and it seems to be based on the locale, the color of the dirt. But if you, during this review, you will see that some of the tracks themselves look like muddy textures, and that's not, no pun intended there. It just looks like a lot of low res textures on the track itself. Particle effects are also lacking here. I would have liked to see a little bit more dust or dirt coming off the back tires and blowing in the wind as you're racing around the track. But for the most part, MXGP2 does get the job done, and it is apparent when you go back and you look at the replay mode just how good this game looks. Which leads us into the next quality category of sound. I found the sound in this game to be adequate at best, as the bike engine sound seemed to overpower everything else, and throughout each race really the only thing that you end up hearing are the sound of your bike and the air horns from the audience. There's no sense of depth within the track from the sounds. What I mean by this is that I couldn't tell where another rider was just by the sound of their bike, as my bike was just too overpowering. Even lowering my engine sound down all the way didn't help. It just seems that all the sounds in this game come from one source, and it doesn't seem like there is an actual surround sound feature for this game. Even with the headset I've tried playing with, it didn't seem to help. It's not a game breaking thing by any means, but there's a lot of work that could be done to make these sounds a little bit better. Which brings us to the last in the quality category, which are the controls. So the controls in this game are a dual stick feature, left analog being your bike and right analog being your rider. And in MXGP2 you have a lot of control of both your bike and your rider. And there are options for these in the options menu where you can change and fine tune how much control that you want. So you can change your weight distribution from semi-automatic to manual. Manual would give you the most control, where you would be controlling both the rider and the bike. And I found that the most rewarding. It takes a little bit to get used to, but once you do, it feels natural. And winning races this way is just an awesome feeling. The game also has an option to control both the brakes individually or simultaneously to make it easier or harder depending on what you're looking for. There's also a physics feature which can make the game more realistic depending on what you like. And there's also, you can change the transmission from semi-automatic to manual. So with all these controls, using both the front and the back brake, and there's also a clutch feature, this game is a demanding game as far as controlling your rider on the track, and you will find that you will crash an awful lot when you first start. Don't be discouraged when this happens. It takes time and you will get used to it. There is also a rewind feature that you'll find, and you can have up to 9 rewinds per race. You can choose whether or not to use these, and the option is totally up to you. Which Which brings us to the last review category of delivery. So what you get with MXGP2 is the feeling that you are part of the actual MXGP season. The game imbues realism throughout every aspect within it. You get to race on real tracks against real riders with real gear, with a realistic control system. And if at the end of the season you've beaten your rival and come in first, you will feel a sense of accomplishment. Everything in MXGP2 adds to the sense of realism, from the slick UI to the HUD overlay to the way the career pans out as you're able to choose between sponsors and teams. And to top it off, the first person view in this game is just incredible and is just simply exhilarating to racing. So what you get with MXGP2 is a fun, realistic motocross experience that really has no rivals, especially on the console right now. The only other competition is MX vs ATV Supercross Encore, which is a totally different beast and a totally different game in the way it plays and the way it handles. So I rate games on a buy now, buy later, or never buy. This is without a doubt a buy now. This isn't just a good motocross racing game, it's a good racing game in general. So for anybody that's into racing or looking for something to play, give it a try. It's something that may not be for everybody, and just remember that there is a learning curve as far as the controls, but once you get past that learning curve, there is a really fun game to play here. So if you liked your review, maybe subscribe, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. Leave a comment down below how I can make the review a little bit better. Until then, keep on gaming. Thanks, guys.